perfect. So,
And we can review it.
yes. Hi everyone, Voi is at Google in Zurich today. We're in one of the major offices of Europe, and we are here with Flo, who is an expert on personal branding, which is very cool. So like, what is personal branding, and why is it important?
So personal branding is your image, right? And what do you want to sell externally to people? So it's also very important that that image is a true one. You want to be yourself.
Right.
You also want to know exactly what that image is. And it's extremely important because now when it comes to recruiting, right, companies might be very picky in terms of what profile they're looking for in candidates. And depending on the role you're applying for, they may be looking at your brand very carefully.
Yeah. What are like the most important parts of your personal brand in terms of in the age of social media and all the information that's available?
So I'd say the very first one is to know exactly what your brand is, right? So a lot of people start going out looking for jobs and they try just to talk to everybody and be everything. The first part is really knowing yourself. What exactly is it you want to do? What kind of industry do you want to work in? What kind of companies? What kind of role do you want to have, right? Once you have defined that, then you can shape your profiles to reflect that. If you're a student, it can also be, looking for a job, can also be very clearly saying in your description, I am interested in this kind of company, this kind of industry. I'm open, globally or in Switzerland or in Europe or whatnot. And the second one is be visible. There's nothing as powerful as showing your face, even internally. Right here at Google, it's very important to show your work and show who you are and what you do. For students or when you're looking for a job, you want to make sure that people can find you. It's not like back in the day where you would go knock on the door and give your CV and they had no way of finding you before that. Most of the time now also recruiters come to you, and the best way to have that is to be very open to receiving this request.
Like, what advice would you give me? Like, I'm in the middle of my career, so to speak, and I have some things in place and I have some things that are like perhaps could use a lot of development.
So I think the first question would be, what exactly do you want to do? Right? Where do you want to go very specifically? And then working around that. Then it's also, for instance, it can be different in the way you're looking for a job but you're not employed.
Right.
Or you're looking for a job but you are currently at a company.
Okay.
Because externally is how much can you say, right? If you're clearly saying externally, looking for new opportunities in Europe and your management doesn't know about that, they might come to you at work being like, what is that all about?
Right.
So you need to make sure about how you want to communicate.
So you have to have like a stealth mode going on there if you...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first step is really that, defining what do you want to do, how can you communicate about it externally. Then it's defining your communication strategy, because at the end of the day, personal branding is all about marketing yourself, right?
Exactly.
And so it's really defining who do you want to communicate to and how much do you want to communicate. So for instance, if you are into UX design, you could start really posting content about your tips and tricks about UX design and like everything that can show your value as a professional specifically within that field. And then obviously it depends on your industry. If your industry is very creative, then it's your job to also find new ways to be creative to it, right? So give your tips and tricks through videos or through funny blog posts, through infographics or whatever. So it's really trying to talk to your audience in the way they would talk and adapt your content to them and show your expertise.
It's hard to know what do I want exactly, because the world is huge and there's so many opportunities, and you can do you go by field, do you go by role? Or...
Yeah, the thing as well is I already knew that compared to some years ago where you started in a company and you spend your full career there, I knew I would not. Right? I knew every role would be short-term experience, and short-term, so I've been at Google for 6 years now, but it's really try and iterate. Is always my motto. I was unemployed before I got the job at Google for like 4 months, and really for 4 months I really focused on the blog, on marketing myself as a digital marketing person. And then you see how it goes. If you realize at some point that you're not getting any traction from companies or recruiters, it might mean that you have either to change your strategy or to find out another way. Also, you should know yourself and know your values, right? As in which career might give you the most benefits in what you want. And it can be stuff as realistic as, you know, salary, right? Which job would sustain you? Career development, because it's great to think of one job that seems super exciting, but this is only a job for entry levels. Then where do you go from there? Like, how do you grow within the company or the industry? So that's all questions to ask yourself as well when you work on your personal brand of what are you good at, what do you like doing, and then how do you get there, right?
Because my next question was going to be like what's your story? Like how do you get into like personal branding at Google? It sounds like a dream job. It's like you're an ice cream taster at like Ben and Jerry's.
But it would be a cool job.
Yeah, very good job.
So actually, I finished my bachelor degree in France, and then I went to the US for 1 year internship in North Carolina. And my roommate was a marketing specialist. She had her own a company, she was a consultant. And she started telling me a lot about personal branding. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to create a blog and start doing stuff. So first I was talking about cultural differences between the US and France. And then I evolved right away into talking about social media. Because I was helping her with social media. She had a more traditional background. So that's how I started blogging about it. And then I came back to Europe, and during my studies, my full master degree was on social media and how it can help companies with their businesses. So this is how I really got into more of the business side. And then I worked in Belgium in traditional marketing for 18 months, and at some point I decided to quit. So I quit my job, I went to Dublin, without a job, without anything, and I was like...
Really? You just went to Dublin?
I just went to Dublin.
You're like, I hear the weather's great.
Exactly. To be fair, it was like, I want to speak English, I want to be in a country where I don't need a visa, Europe is great. So this is how I ended up there, very randomly. And I realized that, well, two things. First, my background was traditional marketing at that point, that's what I had done in Belgium, and I was not in phase with the market. And what I did when I was in Ireland, I did a professional diploma in digital marketing. So I went back to study just for 1 month to kind of get my skills freshened up. And then I transformed all of my LinkedIn and Twitter into specifically digital media. And I completely invested 100% on the blog, and I started blogging more and more. Not only on my blog, but then I was posting on LinkedIn communities. So there's all of these groups, and so find your group of expertise and post there. And also on social media websites, like, you know, news articles about social media, and I was posting my articles there. And this is how I kind of built up my brand externally and starting being more and more and more visible. And eventually I got contacted by an agency who saw my profile on LinkedIn, and I managed to get a first job with Google, which had nothing to do with social media. It was with YouTube. And a year and a half ago I moved to Zurich as a program manager within the research team. And when I joined, we discussed with my manager kind of my strengths and what I could offer to the department. I was like, I'm very much into social media and personal branding and optimization. And I started developing strategies for our team. And I'm giving courses at Google about personal branding and optimizing your social media. And so now it's not 100% my job, but it's half of my job.
Yeah, that's such a cool... I love that story. And we also talk about passion. We love talking about passion, like that it's important to like align your professional strategy and life with things you're actually passionate about. So
I have a different vision about passion. The thing is, I really like social media.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm passionate about it. As
No.
in, I used to maybe at some point. Now, for instance, I actually deleted my Facebook a while ago. So it's a question of, for me, liking what you do. As in, there's nothing worse than working on a field that you really don't like, and then you're sad every day. Because also it kills your creativity. Right? You should like it.
Yes, you should like it, but it sounds like at least a component of yourself needs to like tie into what you do. Like for just listening to you, it sounds to me like you're a very passionate communicator.
I really enjoy it. And the thing as well, it sells better, right? Because if you're trying to get into a business that you have no interest in, you know, even talking about it online, people are going to realize that you're not, or you're not being authentic, right? If you're being super snappy about saying, woo, whatever field is exciting, and then you actually don't like it, very quickly in your job, people are going to realize that you know, this was fake. So it's very important as well to stay true to yourself, right?
Exactly. Well, this has been amazing.
Thank you.
I feel like we could sit here all day, but that's going to be harder for you than for me. But thank you so much, Flo. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.